There's a strange thing that happens when a World Cup reaches its final weekend. Ask 100 people who's going to win, and most of them will say Argentina. Then look at what the people who study this game for a living actually believe. The analysts, the data models, the betting markets that move billions of dollars, and you find something that doesn't match. Because the numbers, the cold, unemotional numbers, are not pointing at Argentina at all. They're pointing at Spain. And that gap between what the world feels and what the evidence says is the most fascinating story of this entire tournament. So let's talk about it honestly. Because on Sunday, in New Jersey, two teams walk out for the World Cup final. And depending on who you ask, there are two completely different favorites. One favorite is chosen by the heart. The other is chosen by the spreadsheet. And only one of them is going to be right. Start with Argentina. Because Argentina is the team the world believes in, and it's easy to understand why. They are the defending champions. They lifted the trophy in 2022 in one of the greatest finals ever played. They carry Lionel Messi, 39 years old, in what is almost certainly his final World Cup, chasing a storybook ending that no scriptwriter would dare pitch because it would seem too perfect. Messi has been extraordinary here, a co-leader in the Golden Boot race with 8 goals, and in the semifinal against England, he set up both goals in the space of a few minutes to drag his country into this final. When you watch Argentina, you don't just see a team, you see a narrative, a legend riding into the sunset, and human beings are wired to believe in that story. But here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Believing in a story is not the same as measuring a team, because when you actually measure Argentina's run to this final, a very different picture appears. They needed extra time to get past Cape Verde. They were 2 goals down to Egypt, with 11 minutes left before staging a comeback. They were level with Switzerland deep into their quarterfinal. And against England, they trailed for an hour before 2 late goals rescued them. 4 knockout rounds. 4 moments where Argentina were staring at the exit. Scrappy, resilient, never say die, all of that is true, and it's genuinely admirable. But it is not the profile of a team in control. It's the profile of a team surviving. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because while Argentina were surviving, Spain were doing something almost nobody noticed. They were dominating. Quietly. Ruthlessly. Completely. Consider one number, and let it sit with you. In this entire World Cup, 6 matches, a full march to the final, Spain have conceded exactly 1 goal. 1. They opened with a scoreless draw against Cape Verde, then won 6 straight. They beat Austria 3-0. They knocked out Portugal and sent Cristiano Ronaldo home. They beat Belgium in the quarterfinal, the only match in which they conceded at all. And then, in the semifinal, they faced France, arguably the most talented attacking side in the entire tournament, and they didn't just win. They suffocated them. 2-0. France, with all that firepower, were held to an expected goals figure of around 3/10 of a single goal. That's not defending. That's disappearing an opponent. So ask yourself the honest question. If you knew nothing about the names, nothing about the history, nothing about Messi, if someone or simply handed you the 2 résumés from this tournament and asked which team looks like a champion, which one would you pick? The team that survived 4 brushes with elimination? Or the team that conceded 1 goal in 6 games and made France look ordinary? This is why the betting markets have installed Spain as the favorite. Not because they don't respect Argentina, not because they've forgotten who Messi is, but because the people who set those odds don't get paid to feel, they get paid to be right. And when they run the tournament through their models, the machine keeps spitting out the same answer. Spain. Now let me be fair here, because this is where lazy analysis falls apart. And I don't want to do that to you. Numbers do not play football matches. Players do. And Argentina have something that does not show up cleanly on any spreadsheet. A psychological weapon that has already broken 4 teams at this tournament. Call it belief. Call it Messi. Call it the simple, terrifying fact that this Argentina side does not accept that a game is over until the whistle actually blows. Egypt thought they had won. England thought they had won. Both were wrong. There is a version of Sunday where Spain dominate for 80 minutes, control everything, look like the better team in every measurable way, and Argentina score twice in the final 10 minutes and lift the trophy anyway. We have literally watched them do exactly that again and again over the last 3 weeks. So the data favoring Spain is real. But the data does not account for the one thing Argentina have that cannot be modeled: the refusal to lose. And that brings us to the deeper question underneath all of this, the one that makes this final so genuinely compelling. What actually decides a World Cup? Is it control or is it moments? Spain represent control. They win by removing your hopes slowly, methodically, until there's nothing left. Argentina represent moments. They win by hanging on, hanging on, hanging on, and then producing one instant of magic when it matters most. These are not just two teams. They are two entire philosophies of how football is supposed to be won. Think about what that means for the people watching. For Spain's supporters, this final is about vindication. The belief that if you build the better team and play the better football, the trophy should be yours. For Argentina's supporters, it's about faith. The belief that greatness finds a way, that a legend gets his ending, that numbers never tell the whole story. And both sets of fans are, in their own way, completely right. That's what makes the disagreement so beautiful. It isn't stupid people versus smart people. It's the heart versus the head, and both have a real case. There's also a generational story buried inside this match that gives it a weight beyond the trophy. On one side stands Messi at 39, the closing chapter of the greatest career the sport may ever see. On the other stands Lamine Yamal, just 19, the teenager Spain are built around, the player half the world has already anointed as the next king of football. 2 decades separate them, and in one of the strangest twists this game has ever produced, there's a photograph from years ago of a young Messi holding a baby at a charity event. And that baby grew up to be Yamal. On Sunday, the man in the photo and the child he once held decide a World Cup between them. Football does not usually write symmetry this clean. So where does that leave us? Honestly, it leaves us with a final that is impossible to call, and a disagreement that reveals something true about all of us. The world believes Argentina because the world loves a story. And there is no better story in sports right now than Lionel Messi lifting one last trophy. The data believes Spain because the data has watched them dismantle everyone in their path while barely breaking a sweat. And both cannot be right. In 90 minutes, maybe 120, maybe a penalty shootout, one of these two truths is going to survive, and the other is going to shatter. Maybe Spain's machine proves that in the end, football rewards the team that plays it best. Or maybe Messi and Argentina prove, one final time, that this game has never been about spreadsheets, that it's about belief and nerve and the players who simply refuse to break. Either way, we're about to learn something about what this sport truly values, written in front of the entire watching world. So I want to hear from you, honestly and respectfully, because this is a debate worth having. When you strip away the noise, who do you actually trust? The story or the numbers? Do you back Argentina because greatness finds a way and Messi has earned his ending? Or do you back Spain because they have been, by every measurable standard, the best team in this tournament from the first whistle to the last? There's no wrong answer here, only a fascinating one. Tell me who you're backing and why in the comments. I read them all. And whatever happens on Sunday, remember this: the football will always find its moments. The question is what surrounds them.